Welcome back to our Flutter Quiz Application tutorial series. In this part, we are going to focus on refining the user experience and making some UI enhancements to ensure our application looks polished and user-friendly. Let's dive into the code and see how we can implement these improvements. First, let's address the visual feedback for users when they answer a question. In the previous video lectures, we have done so much progress and we have just saved the question by admin to our local storage. And in this video, we will be just loading the saved question from the shared preferences and we will be just showing them to the user, and we will just give the access to user to perform the quiz basically. So let's just begin by just writing the code of loading questions from our shared preferences. So for that we will be just writing the using the void and load questions from shared preferences. And as you know that the shared preferences functions are future functions, so that's the reason we will be just using the async and await keywords in our functions. So for that we to access the shared preferences data, or to get or to save the data into shared preferences, we first need to just create an instance of our shared preferences. So I'll be just copying it from my above code. I'll be just pasting it here, and that's it. We have just created the instance of our shared preferences. So now I will be just getting all the questions from our shared preferences, whatever questions are saved. So for that reason we will be just creating a new variable which will be question Json in my case, and I'll be just calling my that instance which I have just created, and which will be get stringless. For getting data from our shared preferences we need to use get string list if it is a list. So if it is just a string, so we will be just using get string basically. So we need to provide the key, what key we are using to save it. So as you see that we have just used this question key to save questions in our uh, local storage. So using the same key, we need to use the same key to get the questions back from the shared preferences. So I'll be just using that, and we will be just also ensuring that if there is nothing from this key, or there is no question stored in our shared preferences in using this key, so let's just return a null or a empty list basically, to just make sure that there should not be any kind of error. So that's it. Now we will be just uh, using and storing all of the questions in our this questions list basically, where we have just created before. So we will be just storing all the questions where we are getting it from our shared preferences, and we will be just storing it into our this list basically. So let's just do that. So for that reason we will be just using question json dot map. As you know that we are just storing our questions in the form of json. So while getting the questions back from the shared preferences, we also need to just decode the json also. So for that reason we will be just doing that in our case. So I'll be just using json, uh, replacing the he, and now I will be just returning the question from JSON. So we are getting the data from JSON which are stored in our shared preferences. So we will be just using our function which we have just created in our question model class, basically in the very first videos. So using that function from JSON function, we will be just decoding the JSON where we are getting it from our shared preferences, which will be JSON decode, and I will be just adding this JSON as my source. Whatever data we will be just getting from this, we will just put it in our JSON decode to decode it, and now we will be just making this to list to just make it iterable. And that's it, we are done with this by just getting the saved question from our shared preferences. And now we will be just using the update to just wherever we will be just calling this function. So uh, the screen should be rebuilt and it will be just shown in our screen without any refresh. That's it, we are done by this. And we also need to just uh, get questions by category. So we will be just creating that function too. So for that reason I will be just creating another function which will be basically a list, and the list will be the type of our question model, and we will be just creating the get questions by category. So I'll be just adding category into the parameter. So whatever category we will just add into this question in this function, so on the basis of that category we will be just getting the question back. So I will be just using the body, and in the body I will be just simply returning my this question list, so which where I have just added all the question from my shared preferences. So I'll be checking it where using the list where function, so to check where this category is equal to the questions category, so just return that. So I'll be just using the question, and here we will be just using the questions dot question dot category is equal to this category, and I need to just make it to a string to remove the warnings or errors, basically. So that's it. Now we are what we are doing in this function, basically we are just checking on our this list, basically questions list, and when we are checking in this list of questions, in this list the question category is equal to the provided category are the same, so just return that category, that question. Simply we are doing that. So, and here we will be just creating another function where which will be just checking the correct answer. So that will be the void check answer, and the parameter will be the question. So we will be just checking the question correct answer, so that is the reason we will be just using the question type of our model. So we will be just passing the whole question into this function to just check it if it is correct or not. So we will be just tracking the correct answer, so which will be int, and we will be just giving the current index to just whenever user clicks on that question options or that index, so we will be just tracking that index too, so which will be selected index. And now we will be just creating some variables, so which will be his answered. So I'll be just creating at the top, but I will be just creating them in a second. So for now I'll be just adding them here for now, which will we need correct answer. Correct answer is equal to, it will be the question dot answer. Whatever answer will be provided, we will be just adding it to our variable into the correct answer. So now I'll be just adding one another variable which will be selected answer. You whenever whatever user will be just selecting that answer, we will be just storing that answer into our this variable. So basically it will be our selected index, this one. So that's it. I'll be just putting a semicolon here, and I will be just checking some conditions here, which will be this correct answer is equal to this selected answer. So just increase the answers, number of correct answers. So in this case, we will be just increasing the number of correct answer to just track the correct answer which user have selected the answers. So for that we will be just using num of correct answers, which will be plus plus. So we will be just increasing the number of correct answers here and storing them into our uh, this variable basically. So we will be just using this variable in our quiz, basically the main quiz page where user will be able to just take the correct answer. So if that is so, if user has selected the correct answer, so just increase the correct answer, and then we will be just going to the next question basically. So we will be just using this next question. So I will be just creating this function in a moment, but before we need to just create these variables first. So I'll be just creating them at the top. So these codes will be user interface code. So I'll be just writing my whole the code under this commit, so to recognize it. So first, what was our, we will be just creating our is answered, which was basically a boolean. We have just added it to false, so it will be is answered. And I'll be just making this false it initially, and I'll be just creating the getter function of this, which will be bool get is answered, and we will be returning this basically. And that's it. We will be just creating all of the variables like this one by one. So number is equal to the hero function, and we will be just returning this. That's it. We have just created our um, all the variables from here. So we will be just moving down, and let's see we have what errors we are getting now. So now we are just getting this next question error. So we will be just creating this function just below this check answer. So I'll be just copying this next question, and I'll be just creating a void function of my this next question basically. So I'll be using making this a future function. So we will be just using async keyword here to make it wait for some time. So let's just do that. So now I will be just checking if the question number dot value is not equal to the list of our questions, basically this question dot length. So if the value, the number, basically this question number value is not equal to the length of the question, so let's just do something. So if the value is not equal to the length of question, so let's just go to the next page basically. So for the next page we will be just using the page controller. So we need to just make a page controller variable. So I'll be just doing that, but first we need to just mm, simply make his answer false from here. So that's it, we will be just doing that. So if this on hover this check answer, we will be just making hover this answer to true basically. So when a user just click on any of the options, so that will this answer, if user answer that questions, check on any options, so we need to just make our is answered true, basically user has answered our question, so we will be just making it true from here. And when this functions closes or finishes, it will be just moving to our next question, so we will be just making our is answered false again. So that's basically the next question is not answered yet. So then we will be just moving to the next page. For the next page we will be using the page controller, so I'll be just creating this in a moment. So what will be the next page? So in the next page we will be just using some kind of durations and the page animation. So let's just create this page controller first. So I'll be just going to the top and I'll be just creating the page controller, and it will be the page controller is equal to page controller. So I'll be just adding late here, so we need to just make sure that it will be initialized later on. So this is a private function. I'll be just creating a getter function for that. So the process is same as we have just created some variable before. So we will be just using the page controller and the hero function and returning this controller basically. So that's it, we have just created that our page controller, and now we will be just uh, adding our basically require fields for this next page. So it requires the duration, and we will be just providing the duration from how many seconds it should just move to the next screen. So we will be just providing duration, and the duration which will be in milliseconds, i'll be just I'll be just giving it 250 milliseconds. And I'll be just providing it curve which will be curves.his. So that's it. So now I'll be just also going to the else part of this. Basically I'll be just, if these are equal, so if the questions are finished and this the value and the length of these questions are equal, both of them are equal, it means that our quiz has been finished, our questions are finished. So just redirect to our score page, which will be basically we will be just creating that also in a second, which will be our score page. That's it, we are done. So I will be just creating my score page in my views directory, which will be score page.dart, and I'll be just creating a stateful widget here, which will be a score page. And for now I'll be just uh, letting this placeholder to be here. So now I'll be just importing this class from here, and that's it, I am done. So we will be just designing our score page, but later on. So now let's just move to our quiz. So I'll be just heading name basically here. So I'll be just clicking on let start quiz. So but yeah, we have got nothing. So because when we are just going to our this quiz category quiz, uh, in our question controller, but the controller is being started, but on the controller we are doing nothing on the start position. So we need to just add on init. So we need to make sure that our questions or our categories are loaded at the very first uh, when this controller has been started. So before doing anything else, so just we need to make sure that we need to start our or load our quiz categories and the quiz questions. So for that we need to just create or use the function which is on init basically. So in this function we will be just loading our functions or the categories from the shared preferences. So for that we will be just doing that, which is load question categories from shared preferences and load question from shared preferences. So initially we will be just doing starting these both and loading these both, and we also mm, want to just initialize our page controller initially when this question controller is called. So for that we need to just call our page controller, and we will be just initializing it with the page controller, and that's it. So now when I just restart my application again, and now when I just log in here with the username, and when I click the let's start button, and here you go, our categories are loaded. So that's it. Now when I just click here, we should move to another screen, which will be basically the main screen of our application where user can perform the quizzes. So for that we will be just creating our quiz screen. So that will be our main screen where user can perform actual quizzes from there. So it will be the dart, and it will be the stateful widget here, which will be the quiz screen. So that's it. We will be just creating it. When user clicks on any of the category, so the quiz should begin by that category. So we will be just going to our quiz category again, and here we will be just using or implementing that function. Whenever any user clicks on any of the category, it should move to our quiz screen. So for that we will be just using our getx navigation, which will be get to, and here we will be just moving to our quiz screen, which is basically quiz screen. And we also need to just provide the category to our quiz screen, so that our quiz screen should recognize which category is the user selected. So for that we will be just using the category, so it will be just required whenever or wherever this quiz screen will be called. So for that we will be just using the final and the category. That's it. We will be just making it final into our this constructor. So I'll be just making this category required. So now whenever we call our this quiz screen, it will need the um, category. So we need to just provide that. So I'll be just making adding the category, and I'll be just make providing our this category, which is basically coming from our question controller and the SAP categories. So Whenever user clicks on any of them, this category will be passed to our quiz screen and it will be getting it. So that's it. Now when I just click here, we will be just redirected to the quiz screen. So now let's just design our quiz screen basically. So I'll be just removing this placeholder from here, and now I'll be just using the scaffold widget, the app bar, and in the app bar I will be just using the action button. So I just need a escape button. User can be able to click on the escape button to escape a question. So from here I will be just using the my text button, and in the text button I'll be just adding text simply, which will be, and now I'll be just creating and calling my next question function, which we have just created in our question controller class. Basically we will be just using we will be just starting our controller to access the functions of our question controller. So for that we will be just using uh, question controller, and which will be question controller is equal to get dot put, and which will be question controller, and that's it. Now I'll be just able to get the functions of my question controller from this instance, and which will be next question. So that's it. Now when I just save this, we will be just getting a escape button, but we don't need this color or this app bar. So I will be just making it transparent, which will be background color uh, colors dot transparent. So that's it. I'll be just making saving this again, and now we will be just getting something else. So now I'll be just making our elevation to 0, and let's see how it looks. So yeah, the uh, background has been removed, so we are done. So now we will be just designing the body part of our quiz page. So for that we will be just using the body, and I'll be just creating this body in a separate file to just clean the code, or the code should be readable. So I will be just creating that. So here you go, I'll be just creating a new dart file, which will be body.dart. So in the body part we will be just creating a stateless widget. In the stateless widget we will be just adding the body, and now I'll be just saving this, and now I'll be just importing my body into my this class to remove this warning. So I'll be just doing that, and now I'll be just going back to my this body class, and now I'll be just designing that basically. So we also require the same theme as we are using in our quiz category, which is basically the background of our application. So for that reason we will be just using the stack as we were using in all our pages. So I'll be just copying this from here, and in the body part we will be just using returning the stack, and in the stack we need a children, so we will be just providing that, and now we will be just importing this package, spg package, so we will be able to use the spg files here. So now I'll be just saving this, and now we are getting our background basically. So now we also, this is uh, not completely covering our screen, so we will be just using the fit function of a stack, and we will just stack fit dot expand, and it will just get on the screen. So basically it is not covering this part, so we will be just which is basically extend body behavior and we will just make it true, and now we will be just seeing the changes, what changes we will be just getting. So our uh, uh, background is now coming on our full screen. That's great. So yeah, we just wanted that. So in the stack we are now done for that, and we also require the safe area. So we want to just code inside the safe area, so we will be just using the safe area. And in the child we will be just using a column widget. We need children in our column widget. And now we also require uh, to update our screen whenever the number of question changes. So for that we need to just use our obx widget of our getx to just refresh the screen whenever number of question changes. So as you know that we have just made our this question number which is basically increasing, and it is reactive and observable. So whenever this number changes, this value changes, so our screen will be refreshed. So for that reason we will be just using our obx widget here, which is basically the getx widget. It will be just using to rebuild the screen when any value changes. So we will be just using that, and now we will be just adding some kind of text, and which will be text.rich, and we will be just using text span. For that reason we have just made our text.rich, and that will be the text span. And now we will be just creating a simple text here to just use that, and we will be just using the question. And now we will be just getting the question, how many questions user will be getting from the question list. So we will be just showing the question numbers 1 2 3 4, and this is what we are doing here, which will be dollar and these curly braces, which will be question controller. So to get the controller things in our body class, we need to just uh, start our controller. So which is question controller is equal to get dot find. So we will be just using this, and we will be just making this find, and that's it. Now we will be just able to use the functions of our controller. So which will be question controller dot question number and with the value. So we will be just getting that, and we also now require to just style it a bit. So for that we will be just using a style theme and the context of this theme, and we just need to style the text theme, and we will be just using the copy with, and we need to just make it the exclamation mark here. We will be just using the color. Sorry, before this copy with we will be just using and the body headline medium. So we want our text to be headline medium, and now we will be just using the copy width to just make it some, give it some color. So we will be just using the color of our uh, custom color which we have just created on our constant file, which will be secondary color. And that's it. We need to just put make sure that this is not null. So that's it. It requires a null check, so I have just provided that. Now when I just save this, so we will be just getting a big question with 1. So I'll be just using the children part of my text span. So in the children part I'll be just using another text span to just show another text side by this my question 1. So I'll be just doing that, which will be text span, and here I'll be just using the text, and this time I want this uh, forward slash, and now I'll be just using the dollar sign again, and I'll be just using the curly braces and the question controller, and now the length of the questions, basically to just show to the user how many questions are and how many questions in user is currently in. So I'll be doing that, and we will be just providing the length. so not the question number, basically the questions and the length. And that's it. I'll be just styling it a bit also, which will be style theme dot of concept or context and the text theme and the headline. At this time we will be just using the headline small to make it a bit smaller than that. So for that reason we will be just doing that, and now copy with and just put the exclamation mark here to just use the null safety here. And now I just want to make this time color the same, the secondary color, so which will be K secondary color. And that's it. Now I will be just saving this, and now we will be just getting that one by one. Great. So for now we are done from there, and now I will be just using a line under this question. So for that I will be just using the divider, which will be, I will be just providing thickness 1.5, and let's see how it looks. So here you go, it's fine. And I'll be just providing the const keyword here, and I will be just uh, using my page view builder, and the page view builder requires the context and the index, so I'll be providing that. So first we need to just block the user to swipe from one screen to another screen, so we will be just doing that so user cannot move uh, to other screen when this question has not been answered. So for that we will be just using the physics, and we will be just making it never scrollable play physics. So for this, so by using this the user will not be able to scroll or swipe to the next screen basically. So that's it. So we will be just using our on changed function also, so whenever the page is changed, so just update the question number. So here we will be just using on changed, and we need to just create question controller dot update the question number. So we need to just create this function in our controller class to just increase the question number where whenever the page is changed. So we also need to just provide the item count, so we will be just getting it from question controller, and the question length, whatever length the question will be, so show that questions. And that's it. So yeah, the other one we also need to provide the controller. So the controller is basically coming from the upside, so we will be just creating it right now, which will be page controller. The page controller is equal to question controller dot page controller, and that's it. Now I'll be just providing this controller to my the page view builder controller, so it will be just making that. So let's just go to the controller page and just create this update question basically. So I'll be just moving to my this page again, and I'll be just going back to uh, the into the bottom, and I'll be just creating my this update number function. So I'll be just using the void update the question number, and I'll be just adding the index, and now I will be just using the question number dot value is equal to index plus 1. So this way we will be just updating our question number. So that's it. I'll be just using the update to refresh the screen for whenever this update has been called. So we will be just going back to our body, and That's it, our error has been removed for now. So now we need to just show our questions in our screen. So for that I will be just designing the screen to show my all the options and the questions in my quiz screen. So for that we need to just design mm, the pattern a bit. So I'll be just designing and creating another file in my lab directory to just make my code much more cleaner and much more readable. So I'll be just creating it in a separate file. So I'll be just creating a file here which will be question card dot, and now how I will be just designing my question card, and I will be just calling and showing all the questions in my screen. So to show the question, first we need to just create a stateless widget, and I will be naming it question card. And to show the question and to get the question, we need to just provide or get the question in my this question card. So I will be just creating a final field. So it will be just required for our this class, which will be the type of question, basically our model. And I will be just making this question, and I'll be just mm, including it into my final fields in my constructor. So that's why it should be required, and whenever this class is called anywhere, then this question is required. So I'll be just making this required, and now I'll be just going and replacing this my placeholder with a container to just design my question card to show it on our quiz screen. So I'll be just using a container here, and in the container I'll be just using the decoration property, the box decoration property, to decorate it a bit. And I'll be just using the colors dot white, that our question card color should be white basically. So I'll be doing it colors dot white. So I'll be just giving it some kind of border radius to my question card. For that I will be just using border radius dot circular, and I'll be just giving 25 radius to it. And that's it. Now I'll be just using a child property of my column, and in the child property I'll be just using the column widget. So column needs the children. So now I will be just showing my the questions and the options there. So to show the question first, I'll be just needing the text widget to show the question. So basically the question is coming from our this question. This question basically, I'll be just getting it from there, and it will be question dot questions, and I'll be just making it giving it some kind of a styles to it. So I'll be just using the style, uh, theme context, and the text theme. And now I will be just using the title large to make this title a bit larger, and I'll be using the copy with, and I will be just making it black color. So I'll be just using the color uh, which we have just created on our constants file. So that was k black color, and that's it requires a null chapter check required. So I'll be just uh, heading the null chapter check, and now I will be just saving this. So we are getting some kind of box constraints. So I'll be just solving that, but before that I'll be just designing my this question card. So now we need to also show the options of our questions here. So for that we will be just using our uh, const sized box to just give it some white spaces between questions and the gap. in the options, so I'll be just using the size block for that reason, and I'll be just giving it a k default padding and just divided it with 2, so 15 divided by 2, it will just divide it accordingly. So that's why now we need to just create a list, which will be list dot generate, and what length we need. So we will be just giving it whatever options length will be on our this question class, so we will be just providing that length. So now we will be just returning the options. So for that I will be just creating my this option class to get the options. So I'll be just um, creating these options in a separate dart file. So I'll be just making my code much more cleaner and much more organized. So for that I will be just creating my this option in a different file, which will be option.dart. So here I will be just creating a stateless widget class again, which will be options. So we require in option a text, basically the text, whatever text will be, and the index number, which index we are just selecting on it, and when we just click on any of the options, what action should be performed. So we will be just making these require, which will be final string, and it will be the text, and the final int, which will be our index, and the other one which will be the void callback, which will be final void callback, and it will be the phrase, and that's it. Now I will be just making these all requires in my final parameters. So that's it, we are done for that. Now I will be just designing my these options and getting the options from our shared preferences. So now we need to just use the get builder whenever we click on that, so the screen should be refreshed accordingly. So to manage the state by using the getX, we need to use the get builder. So for that reason we will be just using the get builder, and the get builder requires the builder, so we will be just providing it. So in the get builder we need to just initialize our question controller in our init property, which will be question controller, and we also need to just provide our mm, class, which class data we are getting inside this get builder. So we need to just provide that, which will be question controller in our case, question controller, and that's it. So now we need to just first create a class or a function for our colors. So when user clicks on the wrong option, so it should be red and across icon should be shown if it is the correct one, so the text should be visible and the border should be green basically. So we will be just designing that. So for that we will be just using the color, get the right color, and I will be just defining the body of it, which will be have. So we need to just check some kind of conditions. If controller uh, dot is answered, if the question is answered basically, so then just do something and just check again. If index is equal to controller dot correct answer, if the selected question or the selected option is equal to the correct answer, it means that it is correct. So for that we will be just returning the green color, which will be return a green color. That's it. So, and we will be just checking the else if here, and else if index is equal to controller dot selected answer, and the controller dot selected answer is not equal to controller dot correct answer, so then just it means that our option or the selected option is wrong, so then just return the red color. Okay, red color, that's it. So now we will be just doing that, and else we will be just returning the k gray color. We need to provide it inside the class, and that's it. So for now we just need to also create the icon data, which will be icon data get the right icon basically. So we will be just showing the icon too, and we will be just returning the get right color. So there is some kind of a spelling mistake, so let me correct that. That's it. Now we will be just returning this basically. So I'll be just copying this from here, and I'll be pasting it here, and that's it. So we will be just adding some kind of condition. Okay, if it is red color, then the icon should be close. Icons dot close, it means that we need uh, a cross icon basically. So if it is red color, just make the icon this, and if else, then just make the icon to done. That's it. So now we just require to do some kind of actions when the user clicks on any of the options. So for that we will be just returning the gesture detector. So in the gesture detector we will be just getting the on tap functionality, and we will be just providing it this press which we have just um, headed in our final fields. So for that we will be just doing that, and I'll be just, so in the child part we will be just using our container. So in the container we will be just decorating it a bit, so we will be just using our box decoration, and in the box decoration we will be just adding some kind of borders according to our colors, which the option is correct or not. So we will be just using the border, which will be border dot all, and inside the color we will be just provide the color which is get the right color. So I also just need to make it give it some kind of border radius, so I will be just using the border radius here, which will be border radius dot circular, and I'll be just giving it 15 radius to it. So now we just be heading the child part. In the child part we will be just using a row basically which requires the children, and the children, inside the children we just need to provide the index number, which will be 1 2 3 and 4, and the options to show it. So basically that's why we need a row. So here the number should be shown, and here the question, and here the checkbox. So for that we just need the text widget to be here, and in the text widget we will be just heading the index and make it +1. So index will be a start from 0, so we will be just making it +1, and it will be how 1 basically when it starts. So we will be just using it 1, and that's it. So now we just need the text basically with the options that will be, and we need to just make it style a bit. So we'll be just using the style, the text style, and now we just need to provide it color. The color should be the get right color, and in the font size will be 16, I guess it will be fine, and that's it. So now I'll be just saving this here from here, and we will be just, so here we will be just using another container basically. So to just, and in this container we will be just using the decoration, box decoration, and we will be just using the same color which will be get the right color. And if this color is equal to gray, and if it is equal to the gray color, so just make it transparent, colors dot transparent, and if it is not gray color, then just get the right color basically. So that's it, we are done. So we will be just providing it some kind of border radius to it, border radius, and the border radius to circular dot hole. And now we will be just giving it some kind of 50 radius to it. And now we need also to make um, to show the border from all sides, so we will be just using the border dot all, and the color should be get the right color, so the function which we have just created. So that's it. Now in the child part of our container, we will be just get the right color is equal to k gray color. And so if it is equal to gray color, so make it null, and else just make get the right icon. So basically, so we will be just using the get the right icon, and just make the size of icon 16. So that's it, I'll be just saving this from here. And now I will be just going back to my question card, and here I will be just calling my this option class which we have just created, which was option. And now this option requires the text. A text means that the question, basically the options, which are coming from our questions, options, and index. So we will be providing that, which is question dot options and in the index, and we will be just getting the options from there. And the index will be the index. And now we need to just also create when the option is clicked, so just check the answer and move to the next screen. So we will be just using the controller. So we need to just start our controller, which is basically this question controller. So for that we will be just starting that, which will be question controller is equal to question controller is equal to get dot put, and that will be get dot put, and that will be the question controller. That's it. Now we will be just able to get the function of our question controller by using the instance. So we will be just doing that, and we will be using the check answer in the which we have just created uh, there in our question controller class. So we just need to use this and this arrow function basically, and that's it, we're done. Now we just need to provide the index, and we are getting the index, and that's it. So when I just save this and do this, and now my code will be just formatted. And now I'll be just going back to my this question card and the body part. So we will be just now calling our this question card to just show the questions on the screen, which will be return the question card. And now the question, we need to just provide the questions, which is basically coming from question controller, and the questions and whatever index who provide whatever questions are available, just show all of them using this index basically. So yeah, we are just getting the box constraint error, so we need to just wrap this our page view builder with a expanded widget, so it should just take all the available spaces. So I'll be just doing that, and I'll be just using the expanded widget. And now I'll be just saving this, and here you go. Now we are just getting our question and the options from our shared references. So we will be just designing it a bit in our question card basically, so we need to just provide some kind of paddings and the margin, so we will be just providing them. So in our this container class, we need to just make it, give it some kind of margins. So I'll be just providing that, which will be edge and sets dot symmetric. So I'll be just providing it some kind of horizontal padding, which will be our default padding, which we have just created there. So I'll be just providing that, and I'll be just saving this and see what will happen. So for now I'll be just also providing it some kind of paddings, and this time we will be just making or giving it padding from all the sides. So we will be just doing that, and I'll be just saving this again. So yeah, now we will be just also giving some kind of paddings to our this option class. So we will be just moving to our this option class again, and now we will be just providing that. So why these are green at the starting, so we will be just checking that also. So we will be just checking it, builder color builder this. If the question is answered, then index question correct answer and the return green. That's it. Else if index is equal to question controller and the selected answer, and the controller selected answer is not equal to controller the correct answer, then it should be red, and then it is the green color. So yeah, it should be gray color basically. So that's it. We will be just saving this, and now yeah, it is great. So now we will be just providing the margin and the paddings to our this container to just make it visually appealing, or the user interface should look just good. So we will be just providing the top paddings, and which will be our default padding. And now I'll be just saving this and see how it looks. Yeah, now it's looking a bit greater and looking beautiful. So now we will be just also giving it some kind of paddings here, which will be agent6 dot whole, and it will be our default padding. And I'll be just saving this, and that's great. So now we will be just, so yeah, when we have just clicked on any of the option, it just moved to our score page. So basically the questions were question was one, so when all the question finished, so it just moved to our score page. So for that we need to just do some kind of coding in our question controller, and we will be just adding some kind of animations and just making it a bit of weight to just show if it is wrong or if it is correct, to just show the check or the border green. So for that we will be just moving to our question controller again, and in our question controller we will be just um, designing our question controller on that basis to just make it a bit weight for to check if it is correct or not, to show the user the correct answer and the wrong answer. So for the animations we will be just using uh, the get single tickle provider state maxim to just use any kind of animations in our project. So for that reason I will be just using the with get single ticker with the provider state makes sense, so we will be just able to use any kind of animations in our project. So we will be just doing that, and we will be just initializing our animation controller, which will be let animation controller, and that will be animation controller. That's it. So now we will be also creating the animation basically, which will be late animation, and it will be the type of double, and I'll be just creating it animation. So now we just need to create the getter function of our this animation. So I'll be just doing that, which is animation. The type was double, and to make the getter function, so we need to use the get keyword, which is basically this, and it will be animation and the arrow function and the animation. That's it. So we have just created that. So now on the on init function, we just need to initialize it, initialize our this animation. So we will be just doing that, which was animation controller is equal to animation controller. And it requires uh, the vsync basically. So we will be just providing the vsync to this. It means that it will just take the vsync of this class, basically this context. And it also requires the duration, so we will be just providing the duration too. So just wait for 60 seconds for one question. So just after that 60 seconds, so just move to another screen, so next page basically. So we will be just doing that, which will be the const duration, and it will be seconds, and that is 60 seconds. That's it. So now we will be just doing that, and now we will be just initializing our animation basically. So for that we just need to call the animation, which will be the twin animation, and it was the type of double, which is double. And now we just need to begin with the 0 and end with the 1. And now we will be just making it animate, so we need to use the animate, and now we need to the controller to provide that controller, which we have just created that. And now we will be just using the add listener. So just listen to this animation and wait for 16 seconds and whatever uh, it requires. So just do that. So we will be just doing that, and we will be just using the update keyword to just make our screen refresh after this animation is completed. So that's it. Now we will be just using the animation controller dot forward, and now when it is complete, so we just need to do some kind of action. So in our case, we will be just moving to the next question. So I'll be just calling my this function, which we have just created, to move to the next question basically. And that's it. So now we need to just use the update when this on init has been initialized. So just do all of them and just call this update to just refresh our screen. So now in our check answer of this function, so we are checking basically the question, the option, the selected option is correct or not. So we need to just uh, make the user to wait for some seconds to just show if it is correct or not. So in this function we will be just doing that and making our user wait. So before going to the next screen, I will be just making my user wait for 3 seconds, so which will be future delayed. And now it requires the duration. I'll be just providing the duration here. And now when I just use the seconds, the 3 seconds, it should just wait. And now we just need to call that function, and inside, after waiting 3 seconds, just move to the next screen. So that's it. I will be just refreshing this again, and I'll be just restarting my this. uh, so from here I'll be just making my this screen or the animation controller to stop to there, so our animation should stop basically. So we will use this basically animation to just show up the progress bar later on. So for now we will be just making this stop. So now when I just log in into my this quiz, just I'll be needing a full name, so I'll be just writing that, and after the name I'll be just clicking on the let's start the quiz, and I'll be just selecting any kind of category here. And now when I just click on any of the options, so it will be just giving the correct answer, and just wait for 3 seconds and just move to the next screen again. So yeah, that's it. We have just done by showing the questions to the user and just giving the access to the user to select the correct options or the correct answer, and it will be just shown to the user that it is correct or not. And if it is correct, it will just show to the user that answer is correct by just making the border green and just providing a check button. So yeah, if user selects on the wrong answer, so it will be just making it giving it cross. So that's it for this video, and the next video we will be just polishing our user interface more beautiful and just look it visually appealing, and we will be just fixing some kind of bugs, and we will be just also creating that progress bar for 16 seconds. And if user has not selected the options within the 60 seconds, it will be just moving to the next question again. So we will be just designing the score page in the next video lecture, and that will be our final and the last video lecture. As always, we'd love to hear your feedback. Are there specific UI elements you think could use improvement, or do you have any suggestions for additional features? If you are enjoying this tutorial series, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated with our latest videos. Connect us with on social media and join our community for more discussions and updates. Thanks for joining us today of our Flutter Quiz application tutorial. In the next part, we will be addressing user feedback and possibly adding some advanced feature. Stay tuned and happy coding with Flutter.